So I got a question for everyone out there. What are your honest thoughts on that World Series? Because I'll say it, the best World Series I've seen in 10 years. Look, I know it was a short series. I know there was only 5 games. But those 5 games were the most down-to-the-wire games we've seen. Hands are sweating the entire time. Absolute electricity going on throughout the games. And that's what happens when you have the 2 biggest teams in the world colliding to face each other with the biggest names in sports. Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto. Easily top 10 players in the MLB. Jersey sales, top 7 in the MLB for all 4 of them. Power, strength, dynamic storylines from each side. You look at the Los Angeles Dodgers with Freddie Freeman. He was slumping. He was coming off an injury, and yet he went out there and won World Series MVP, homering 4 different games. Anthony Volpe, a kid from New York, grew up idolizing the Yankees and the Pinstripes. And he hits a grand slam in Game 4 to ignite the crowd and to really make the Yankees believe again. The storylines were there, the power of the franchises was there, and the dynamic of the names and the talent was there. It was easily the best World Series we've ever witnessed. And if it wasn't for some up and down mistakes throughout the game from the New York Yankees, we would have been able to see a 6th game of this heading back to Los Angeles in Game 6. But as I mentioned, the fundamentals came back to bite the Yankees. And what I think this World Series has really taught us is that when it comes to winning anything, in this situation, baseball, the little things are what matter most. Putting the ball in play, not beating yourself, not having unforeseen errors. And that's exactly what happened to the Yankees last night. Everyone's going to point to the 5th inning and say, "Jeez Louise, what happened, New York?" And that's the truth. 5 unearned runs across the plate for the Dodgers. Anthony Volpe had an error thrown to Jazz Chisholm, trying to get a guy out at 3rd. Aaron Judge dropped a easy out in center field, as John Smoltz said. You don't drop that. You drop that 1 out of 1,000 attempts. And then in the 8th, but everyone's going to speak about those things. But there was more to it in this game. There was more to it than Garrett Cole not covering first base when Mookie Betts was flying down the line. The things, the little things. Look at the 8th inning. The game was still tied at 6-6 between the Yankees and the Dodgers. But in the 8th inning, the New York Yankees made another mistake, and that was catcher's interference. It put Shohei Ohtani on first base. And when Shohei was up to bat, there was a man on 1st and 3rd with 1 out. Ohtani was slumping the entire World Series. He was nursing an injury. If there is no catcher's interference, chances are Ohtani gets out. You get Ohtani out, you have 2 outs, 2 on. Instead, bases are loaded with 1 out. Mookie Betts hits a sac fly to the outfield, scoring the go-ahead run to give them the lead, allowing them to win 7-6. It's more to that, though. The simple things is what messed up the New York Yankees. Base running throughout the series, throughout the playoffs, was a glaring issue. Players were being sent to home plate like Giancarlo Stanton when he was going to be out by a mile because he's just older. And that's what happens. But the third base coach decided to send him when it was a shallow single to left field. You watch the games. Look at the Cleveland series. Look at the Royals series. Look at the Dodgers series. The Yankees were bad to run the bases. Players were being getting put into pickles, right? Being ran down. They weren't running the bases smartly. They weren't hustling. You look at the Dodgers. Every single time they had the chance to run, not even in terms of stealing, but just running the bases, they ran them smartly. They ran it effectively. And then the other thing, the biggest thing that I think is not being pointed out enough about why the New York Yankees lost this series in terms of the fundamentals, is that their batting order was non-existent. Their lineup was non-existent the first 3 games of the series. And it's not in terms of, oh, well, they're not getting hits. No, they were. If you look at the hit totals from this series, the Yankees had more hits than the Dodgers in 3 of the 5 games. The only game the Dodgers had more hits than the Yankees was Game 2. And then in Game 3, they were tied on total hits with 5 apiece. But why did the Dodgers win Game 1 despite the Yankees having 10 hits? Why did the Dodgers win Game 5 despite the Yankees having 8 hits? Oh, you know why they won these games? It's because they put the ball in play. In Games 1, 2, and 3, the Yankees struck out 13 times, 7 times, and 11 times at bat, while the Dodgers struck out 4, 6, and 7. And grand total, the Yankees struck out 44 times, the Dodgers struck out 34. In Game 5, both teams struck out 9 times, but the Yankees beat themselves because of fundamentals. In Game 4, the Yankees struck out half the amount of times as the Dodgers, and they won. But Games 1 through 3, they struck out more times than the Dodgers. Point is, putting the ball in play, the simple things, is what came back to bite the Yankees. New York has a great team. Anyone saying that they didn't deserve to beat this World Series, they're delusional. Truthfully, they are. Because the Yankees did deserve it, and realistically, they are the second best team in baseball. They are. If you put them against the Padres and the Mets, they would win against those teams in series. But they couldn't win the fundamentals. And that's what makes the Dodgers so impressive. It's hard to get these top-tier players to learn the idea of hustling and making every little second, everything count. But the Dodgers did that, and they did it to a T. And the scary thing about the Dodgers, not to get too far ahead, but looking ahead to 2025, the scary thing about the Dodgers is that their team is bound to be better because they return Clayton Kershaw. They return Tyler Glasnow. 2 huge starting pitchers in their lineup are coming back from injury. And oh yeah, who's the other guy that's pitching for them? Shohei Ohtani. Great win by the Dodgers, but the Yankees lost because they couldn't execute the small things all series long.